Well, hi everybody. So with us this evening, we've got going around the table. We've got Sarah Charalambous. Have I spelled that? Have I pronounced that correctly?
Better than most do.
Okay, and I do apologise to Chris for the fact that we never managed to get Sean on, but he's getting a bit shy and hopefully we'll get Adrian on soon. So hopefully that'll make up for that. But anyway, going round the table, obviously, Mike, I think this is your third time on with us, is it now, Mike?
I think it's only my second, isn't it?
Oh, right, second, right, okay. Great to have you on. So it's yeah, second time for Sarah and Mike, and our new co-host Ryan. Hi there, Ryan, all the way from
Evening.
Redcar.
Yeah, Middlesbrough Redcar.
That's right, and obviously, I think you're. Well, I don't think I know that it was James Black that said that Ryan's keen to come on, and hopefully we'll have a chat with you in the week leading up to the Berwick versus Redcar second leg.
Yes, hopefully we'll be in the semi-finals. Hopefully.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, there was a little bit of conspiracy theory going on there that that the meeting was cancelled, postponed, because of the fact that Berwick were making team changes. Can I just assure you that the real reason why the meeting was postponed was because I had a prior commitment, and they knew that the takings were going to be down at the bar, and there was going to be no point running whatsoever. So yeah, it's probably my fault. Mike, I wanted to start off by telling you a little story. Well, it's not a story; it's fact. Because of my surname, in fact, probably a few of you realise that with my surname, I do get people say to me, "Oh, can you get Lewis Capaldi's signature? And can you get Doctor Who's signature because of Peter Capaldi?" And the name Capaldi comes from an area of Italy between Rome and Naples called Monte Cassino, which was famous because there was a battle there in World War II. But in actual fact, the most famous of my relatives is actually Jim Capaldi, who was the drummer with Traffic way back in the 60s. And then in the 70s had his own solo career and was, had a big hit with Love Hurts in 75. It got to number 4 on the charts or 5, and he was on Top of the Pops for 2 or 3 weeks on the trot. Okay.
And you and I were the only two that remember him.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a bit younger than Ryan, I think so.
Yeah. So then, back in the 60s, my Uncle Chris was a member of the Fortunes.
Oh.
If anybody remembers the Fortunes, they had a few hits with "You've Got Your Troubles, I've Got Mine," "Freedom Come, Freedom Go," and later on "Storm in a Teacup." He wasn't with them for very long because they weren't often a 5-piece; they were normally a 4-piece. But when he was with them, he was actually playing with them and a support to a young band from Liverpool, and Chris and one of the members of this young band from Liverpool decided that they would go out to celebrate this young man's birthday and got absolutely wrecked. Came back and the management of the tour sacked Chris. The young lad from Liverpool wasn't sacked, and he said, "No, I'm as much to blame as him. I knew what I was doing. Blah de blah de blah. If you're going to sack him, you can sack me as well." John Lennon stuck up for him. He went out on a pub crawl with John Lennon, and that's what happened. So anyway, Chris ended up playing in various bands, and then he got his sort of ideal dream job, because for Chris, playing in piano bars all over Europe was fantastic. A month at various venues, get to know the crowd, huge tips and all that kind of stuff, full accommodation, everything you could want. He phones me up and he says, "Can you go and check out Fingers Piano Bar?" This is 1984. Do you know Fingers Piano Bar?
I do.
In Frederick Street, in Edinburgh. So I went and checked it out because he wanted to know if it was a decent place, it wasn't just a dive, but more importantly, what the state of the piano was. So I was able to report back, the place is great, really nice. You'll love it there. You'll go down a storm, and the piano is a really lovely grand piano, perfectly in tune, etc., etc. So he came up and he invited me and ex-wife up to stay with him one night within about the first week. He then said, do you know what? I've been in all the major cities in Europe. This is the most beautiful city I've ever been in, was Edinburgh.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
I've certainly been in Fingers Bar, and it's very good.
It is. But it's like, of all the places in Europe, Edinburgh is this beautiful place. And as I say,
maybe it used to be. It might not be now.
Yeah, but Powder Hall was a great place to go. You're driving through the old town to it. It was absolutely fantastic. And talking of beautiful places, Sarah, how nice is Berwick?
Oh, well, we're biased. To be fair, we're biased.
Yeah.
No, I think all I can say, I might be biased, but it wasn't until I came back from London, because I was away from Berwick for 11 years. We don't appreciate where we live until we actually are away from it. Put it that way.
Berwick's a lovely place.
Yeah. In fact, if you check up on TripAdvisor, it's something like the top 20 places to go in Northumberland. Obviously, Holy Island, which is Lindisfarne, Bamburgh Castle. Do you know what? Shearfield Park is amongst. Yeah, seriously, and it covers both the football, and then you carry it along, and you've got Speedway.
Yeah.
As TripAdvisor, things to do in Berwick. My point being that is it a case of some of the Speedway tracks are doing well because of their location?
Potentially.
I think more than that. I think some tracks, so Redcar, and I'm not just saying it because Mike and Ryan are on Redcar, Berwick. They have forward-thinking promotions. They have ones who are not just sitting on their asses. Look at what Jamie's done getting in with Oxford as well. They're blessed to have Jamie there. I went to school with them. I don't think you'll mind me saying he was a bit of a dick at school, but something, he's grown up around Speedway, so he knows exactly what he's doing. And Berwick, I think, is in really safe hands.
Mm-hmm.
Having Jamie and Scott and Flinty, they care about it and they want it to stay. So I think we'll be around. I think it's the same with Edinburgh as well. Redcar, they've got Mudger and Jamie Swales. I think they'll be around for quite a while because of their promotions.
Mm-hmm.
Not locations, but their promotions.
Yep. And Greg, you actually said, hi, Greg.
Hello, hi there. Sorry I was late. I've been busy cutting down a hedge.
You have indeed. but you said yourself that of the tracks that you're sort of feel as home. It's not just Berwick; it's also Redcar.
Yeah, that's right. Redcar's where I cut my teeth. Really, it was back when Kevin Little rode for the Bears when they first opened. It was 2006. Am I right in saying?
Correct.
And when Kevin went to Redcar, I was just starting out, and it was like, right, get a shot of this track and see how you get on. And I remember that was the very early days when I was going out for second half. There was bits of brick and stuff appearing in the track. But yeah, it was to start off with. For me, it was quite a tough track to learn on. You wouldn't believe that, but in the early days, Redcar wasn't as smooth and as nice to ride as what it is nowadays. But yeah, I think the fans there as well, they're very similar to the Berwick support. They do look after you. They don't necessarily will slag you off too bad if you start having a bad time or anything like that. They're very supportive. So yeah, I always feel like Redcar's like a second home.
You guessed it for Edinburgh one time early on in your career, didn't you?
Early in my career.
Yes.
Now, Mike, I might be right in saying this. Was that against Stoke?
Oh well, I'm not certain.
I've got a funny suspicion that when I did that, I scored 0 points. But was that not did Edinburgh not win a trophy that night?
I'd need to look that lot up.
But
It's possible. Possible. I remember you doing quite well, but that obviously you were inexperienced then, so I wouldn't be expecting a huge score.
Yeah, the Edinburgh was always quite a tricky track for me to get round. I do enjoy going there, but it's I'm enjoying it a lot more now since I've come back and I've got a bit more of a better mind of how to ride the place.
Yes.
Well, in the weird world of Speedway, Greg was supposed to guest for us last season at home to Leicester. The meeting got rained off, and then the week after, or 2 weeks later, Greg ended up guesting for Leicester and probably helping them get a draw.
No, that wasn't a draw. It was Berwick that I guessed. It was the Berwick meeting.
I thought you guessed for Leicester as well.
No.
I did
You was at number 7, Ryan.
I guessed it for Leicester. I did guess for Leicester.
Oh, yeah, I thought you did, yeah.
Yeah, I did guess for Leicester. I can't remember if it was Redcar Leicester or Redcar Berwick. I think it was maybe Leicester, but I certainly rode for Berwick at Redcar, and I got 3 points. And I'll tell you, they were the hardest 3 points I've ever had to earn in a Speedway meeting. It was a tough old night.
That was an unbelievable meeting. Flinty literally threw his bike over the line, but not himself.
Yeah,
unbelievable meeting.
The thing with that was, it's probably the most emotional I've been at a Speedway meeting, because we went out on the track walk, and obviously last year being part of the Bullets, you're part of the, you're not Bullets and Bandits, you're Berwick Speedway, and we always talk about that family thing at Berwick. We went and done the track walk, and just as we finished doing the team talk, Flinty turned to Aaron and says, "Aaron, would you like to put in something?" And Aaron says, "Yeah, this is the last away meeting that I'll be doing." Obviously, that was a lie, but that was the first I heard of Aaron announcing his retirement at Redcar, and we all said that we're going to go out. We've got nothing to lose. Let's just go out there, and because Berwick, we were quite far down the table, and Redcar were quite high up, and we thought, let's just go out and give them a bit of a fright. And we should have won that meeting if Flinty hadn't gotten a little bit too excited. But when Flinty crashed and it was a draw, it was quite an emotional. I had to sort of hold it in, because we were all, I think we were gutted, but at the same time we were proud of ourselves, because every single one of us went out there and rode the bloody nuts off the bike.
Well, I remember I was sat at the start-finish line, and you could see every lap Flinty was getting closer and closer to the fence, and you're thinking, is he going to be able to hold on? Because Michael Pantoff was holding the white line, and I think Charles was ahead at the time. I could be wrong. And Casper was just behind Tofty. And you're thinking he's just going to hit the fence here. And then you're thinking, oh, well, he's won because it's literally come off the last corner. And then you see him, I said it to a few people, GMs and a few others after the meeting, you don't see that very often. He was literally on his haunches, gutted because his hometown team hadn't won. And when in an era, riders ride for so many teams. Leon wasn't gutted that he didn't get his points money. Leon was gutted because he didn't win the race and win the meeting for Bandits.
And I like to see that with riders as well, that have got a bit of passion for their club. It's good. I mean, not necessarily the fact that Leon's from Berwick, that's just an extra thing. I can't think of anybody at the moment who is riding for their home club, apart from maybe like Ben Trigger. Charles Wright, is he? Yeah. Aye, that's true. But with Berwick, being that Berwick, what do you think of Berwick when it is a speedway town? It's famous for it, and Leon being brought up around it, and what it is, it's nice to see. I mean, I do class myself as that as my home track, but I'm a wee bit over the border to be from Berwick.
But traveling down to Redcar, if you go down the A68 and through Bishop Auckland and Atolo and all these places, it's a pretty spectacular run down to Redcar, isn't it, for the speedway there, and the track is very nice. I mean, I was at Brough Park earlier this year, And I was actually saying to, and I don't know if I mentioned to you, Sarah. I'm sure I said to James, isn't it a shame how this place, it looks so forlorn. It's the big stand that was on the back straight is gone. There was bars there, or a bar and a snap bar and stuff. And there's grassy area on the centre green, but there's nowhere for anybody to go. I mean, I would love to stand on the third bend at Shearfield. They won't let me because of my shirt, but I'm pretty nearby. And it just struck me that it's such a beautiful place to go to, and to watch the Speedway. Let me just sort something out. And I just wanted your opinions on Brough Park as it is now.
I just think we went there. I said to Paul earlier, we went there a few weeks ago, and although you love winning, and it was great to win 62-28, but it was just I came home and I said to my dad, and he just said, "It's a bit sad, isn't it?" And it is. It's just a bit sad that there's more Redcar fans there than Newcastle fans, for starters. Mm-hmm. You know for a fact that they weren't. Well, at the time we thought, well, they won't come back next season, but they'll finish this season. And then I got a message at 5 to midnight of the day before saying, "Looks like he's packed it in." But from what I can gather, it's just like he's just said, "Right, I'm losing this money. I'm going to lose more now than I do if I go at the end of the season. I'll get my bond money back." That's what I can gather. I don't know what anyone else thinks about that, but it's just so sad.
It's certainly sad. I mean, I've probably been going there the longest. I first went there in 1968, and I do like the place. Although you say it's run down now, I still think it could be a great venue. Who's that?
Well, I think for the future, I don't know what Greg as a rider thinks about this, and Mike and Sarah,
Right.
What they think about, I think Newcastle's future, if there's going to be one, has to lie at another venue, because I don't think the owners want the Speedway at Brough Park, and it probably has to lie somewhere else. And a better track, because it's a tough track, Newcastle, would maybe attract more fans. I don't know what everyone thinks about that.
I don't mean to sound
Speedway over the years at Newcastle, definitely, and it's been a great track. See, I like a bit of variety in tracks. I don't like every.
Oh, I agree with that.
Flat-out blasting track, and I think Newcastle can still be a good track. But I'm not absolutely convinced by that. Put a good team in there, and I think the fans would come.
You think it's a little bit too late now?
Oh, it possibly is, yeah. And how would you ever get a good team in there is the other question, of course.
Financially, to do that, I mean, you look at that team and it's second strings and reserves. That's all it had. They didn't need a number. Everyone was saying they need a number one. They needed a 1, a 3, and a 5.
I do know of one rider that was made a very generous offer by Rob Grant at the start of the season, and he chose not to go there because his reason was that he didn't think Newcastle would make the playoffs, so he wanted to go to a team that was going to make the playoffs. So it's very hard for somebody just coming in to put together a team. Greg, you did ride against Stoke at Armadale. I checked it.
I didn't.
You did.
You did.
Yes, you were right.
Did. I scored no points.
You did score no points, and I think we just won the league at that time. So we may well have got the trophy presented that night. Yeah.
I think that's I went out on parade without any body armor or a pair of trainers, and I had to put my Kevlars on over the top because I was out that early that I just went and got changed. I think I remember that.
I remember thinking this lad's got possibilities. You had a good style.
I often had that said to me that I had a good riding style on the bike, but I was just I was running before I could walk. Is what I was always told. Ifs and buts. Imagine if I'd come back earlier, things might have been different. But who knows? But I'm quite happy with what I'm doing now anyway. That's a certainty.
I was standing beside John Campbell when you came to apologise to him this season for falling off 4 times in the guest booking. I mean, you had absolutely nothing to apologise for because you put everything into that match. But I believe you had some bike troubles.
Yeah, I had a bent bike, and we didn't know we had a bent bike until the end of the meeting. We were looking in the wrong place for any bends. Usually, you can tell between the front wheel and the engine if it's moved close together. And we had a quick look at that. I'm like, well, that looks fine. And then the bike kept coming round on me all the time, and we were like, right, something's not right here. And then we checked the headstock, and it had tilted over like that. So that's what the problem was. But I mean, I think if that frame hadn't been bent, I probably would have scored, because I'm in a mindset now where I just want to jump out the start and beat anybody. You know, I went out years ago. I could have been racing, especially Saturday night against Jason Edwards. I would have thought, right, you've been on the track more than me. You've beaten a hell of a lot better riders than what I could. You're probably already, I'm already beat before I go out. And I thought, nah, bollocks to this. Let's go out and try and have a go with him. And I beat him, and convincingly as well. So I was quite happy with that. So it just goes to show there's life in the old dog yet.
Yeah,
you're not that old, Greg.
I'm 32 this year, and if you've seen my back, you would know how old's like. Bloody hell. So, Mike, a quick question for yourself.
Yeah.
The bringing in a Lee Complin and they're replacing Willie Lawson. I spoke to Willie on Saturday night, and he said that he's quite happy to do second halves, but he's not really that bothered about the racing.
Yeah.
I watched the EMTV footage back, and your comments were quite funny about William missing the heat, the first heat. What do you, William as a rider? What's your opinion on William?
Well, of course, he was highly talented in his young days, and I believe somewhere in there he's still got that talent. He's a wee bit. He's not overweight, actually. People might think he's overweight, but he's pretty muscular now.
Yes,
I don't think that's an ideal build for a speedway rider. But I think if he was really serious and put together better machinery, I think he could still be a decent rider in the championship.
Yeah, that's right.
Not
because
serious, it's a bit of a waste of time doing it, really.
It's an expensive thing to do.
Sorry.
It's like we watched them on Friday night, after the meeting, and is James Greaves' lad having a go now in the second half?
Yeah, he is on the mini track mainly, and on the big track, yeah.
So he was there, and we saw me and my dad saw Greavesy. I haven't seen Greavesy for years, so it was good to get a catch up with him. And we're blathering away, and Willie went out for a second half. And my dad's comments, and it's not just that, he knows his Speedway, my dad. He's been around it long enough. He said, the way William's riding that bike round here, he says, you put him on Sam Masters' machine, and he'd be beating anybody round Armadale, because he knows the place inside out. He's very talented. You could see it from years ago, but he's just never had he's always been late to the tracks. I remember Greavesy was saying that William would turn up at Wolverhampton about half an hour before kickoff. Chris Van Straten and Peter Adams are going absolutely mental because this bloody young laddie from Scotland that they've brought down has turned up late. His bike's still getting built in the pits while everybody's getting ready for the parade. And then William would go out and beat Grand Prix riders.
Yeah.
And they said, to Greavesy, could you have a word with him? And Greavesy's like, it's just his way he does things. Just leave him. There's no point changing it, because that's how he does it.
So Sarah told him that he was a plumber first and foremost, and William took that to heart, I think, and he works so hard as a plumber that he's only got time to turn up just before the match.
Exactly.
It is a lost talent to Speedway, definitely.
Oh, 100%.
Sarah and Mike, did William Lawson not have a season with Berwick?
Yeah.
2009 beside me.
Yeah.
Greg, one of the things I remember about you, and I don't know if you remember about this, there was one race you had with Andrew Silva. Did you not come off in the back straight after the end of that one?
Yes, everybody knows that one.
Yeah. That was brilliant, that race. I remember that.
We went to shake hands after the race.
You beat him.
We shook hands over the line. That was Rye House, yeah.
if you check the footage, you'll see that I'm stood just next to the fence. I got a bird's eye view of that, but I didn't have my shirt on, so you wouldn't have recognised me.
What a letdown.
That was a good year. That I'll never forget this. I'll tell you this one scene is as long as nobody's eating their tea. So we went to, I can't remember where it was, Somerset, and we were on tour with Berwick. Went away down there, had a great time, and we all went out on the drink afterwards. We decided that we were going to go out to like a nightclub. Linda Waite was with us, and so we were in the van, and Pepe was there, Michael Makowski, William, me, Michael's mechanic, and there was somebody else. I can't remember who it was. We went out with an absolute ball of a night. It was great. And on the way back, we were on the motorway in the van, and Michael's mechanic was driving. He didn't drink, and he was driving us back. And William went, he was sitting like that for ages, his head like that. And he just went, stop the van, I'm going to be sick. And we says, well, you can't be sick. We can't stop. We're on the motorway. And William went, I'm going to be sick. And he just pulled his t-shirt up like that, and it was tucked into his jeans, and he just spewed it into his t-shirt. And you could see it filling up at the bottom. And we had to open the sliding door because the smell was horrendous. But that was it was a bit of a good laugh. That we got chat. I think Berwick got fined because of the mess that William made of the carpet in the hallway when we got back. But that was a big eye opener for me because I was only 18-year-old and I was going out with all these lot, and it was mental. Some of the stories that you get of them speed riders, especially for the 90s and the noughties eras.
Oh God, aye.
It's crazy. I mean, you'll have heard the one about Michael Makowski going down the motorway on the bank holiday.
Somerset, wasn't it?
Aye.
In the back of his bike, him and Terry.
Yeah.
And they thought the road was awful quiet, and they're like, "What the hell's going on? There's no car." And they came up to the police, and the police stopped them, got them out on the road, and had to get them to lie down because someone had phoned the police and thought they had guns in the back of the van. Yeah. It was the handlebars of the bikes.
Oh, I remember that.
And they were whipped out and laying on the middle of the road. Absolutely brilliant.
Can I just get us back onto because that's brilliant stories, but back onto the problem with Newcastle, and that is something that I suppose Sarah, you've touched on that already, and Greg, you talk about this all the time, and I'm sure it's the same with Edinburgh and Redcar. It's this sort of family community of the club.
Yeah.
Well, when I've been there twice... Sorry, Greg, go on.
No, I'll just let you crack on there.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, I've, as I said, I've been there twice this season with Redcar, and you just didn't... It just felt like a team of individuals on the as a team, and it just... There's like... You have a lot of diehard supporters at Berwick, Edinburgh, Redcar. You know them. Like, from going to Newcastle, there's a handful of, maybe a few more than a handful, but not many die-hard fans. And it felt like a team of individuals. You had, when we went out for Heat 1, they hadn't even, because when you'll have been, if you stood standing in the pits at Brough Park, you'll realise that there was a lady and a man, when they opened the pit gate and closed it, put the air fence back for the next race, there's a right rigmarole you've got to go through. It's absolutely unbelievable. And they hadn't even done it. So they're starting the race and nobody knows. And everything just seemed to be falling apart at the seams. And I know you had Leon last night, but everyone just seemed to just sit in their pit bay and talk to their mechanics. It wasn't like, I mean, you're getting beat by your local riders. After four heats, it was 17-7. And after every track parade, Jade will have a team meeting with our boys, no matter what, whether we're winning or losing. They're all just sat around, just talking to the mechanics. There was no spirit, and you're just thinking, surely someone wants to fight for the badge, but I felt it was coming, but I didn't think it was going to come this soon, unfortunately.
But Newcastle haven't traditionally been like that. Newcastle have been a very good team and a good club, and all everybody together. But I think what happened when George English left and Rob Grant came in, unfortunately, split the club in two. Really, I think.
Yeah.
My impression is that there's people that are in George English's camp, and there's people that are in Rob Grant's camp. There are some like Barry Wallace and Steve Brock, good people like that who just work for Newcastle and they carry on, but there's definitely a split in the camp, and it just hasn't worked for that reason. The old team spirit throughout the club with the riders and the fans on the terraces just wasn't working.
Well, Newcastle used to do, I thought it was a really good thing they used to do the parade on the dog track, right, really close to the fans. For some reason, that's just fell by the wayside, and that doesn't happen anymore. But when George built his teams, you always had a strong home team, and they were always very competitive, if not winning titles. Whereas, obviously, this team didn't. But with George, you always knew you were in for a tough meeting when you were at Newcastle, and invariably they would win comfortably.
Yeah,
that's correct. Look at the teams that they had out over the years with George being there. You had some absolute quality riders. I remember going back to when Kev was riding, my first proper look at Newcastle, if I can remember rightly, you'd have Kev Blair was there, Dickie Jewell, Andre Compton at 3, Kev would be at 4, Bjarne Pedersen would be at 5, Jamie Robertson at 6, and William Lawson at 7. And that was some team, that. And then I think it would be the year before that would be was it 2001 when they won the Premier League Championship?
Yes,
and they
were going to do the double.
Well, they should have done the double, but Peterborough won it on a technicality. There was some rule that came in towards the end of the season or something. It's still argued about this day, and Peterborough ended up winning it, and it rightfully should have been Newcastle's. But I used to go there, and the racing was fantastic. Like, and the crowds were heaving, and like the thing is, outside on the terraces there, it would be mobbed with people, and then I always used to sit up in the bar all the time. That was back in the day when you could still smoke inside a pub. I'd always leave there, my eyes red raw, and they had the Muckman. The Muckman's sadly no longer with us. Any of you lot remember the Muckman? The guy used to shout, "Get in the muck!"
Oh, at the back of the stand on the
Aye. Selwyn made him a T-shirt with a Muckman written on it, and that's all he used to shout. No, he passed away apparently.
Oh.
But it was characters like that at the Speedway, and it got everybody going, and there was always a good laugh. And I do like the Newcastle thing where you can see right into the pits. You can see everything that's going on, and I think that's probably one of my favourite things about Newcastle is that the pits are like. Don't get me wrong, I like the track at Armadale. You get some fantastic racing for a small track. You get some bloody good racing, especially seeing Sam Masters and Josh Pickering there. They make it brilliant, and like going through the years of the riders that Edinburgh's had. But when things go, basically, when there's fisticuffs happen, and it happens in the pits at Armadale, you can't see anything. You see nothing at all. But at Newcastle, if there's somebody kicking off, the fans are right in and can see it. You could throw stones at them, and I think that's good. That was the same at Workington as well. I remember the interaction you got there. You could stand right up at the top and you could look down in at the pits, which was fabulous. So yeah, it's a shame that what's happening. But personally, without sugarcoating it and trying to say everything's going to be all right, I can't actually see Newcastle returning, because. Who's going to pick it back up again, and who's got that kind of money to bring that forward? I would like to say it would happen, but
Greg, can I ask you? Go on, Mike.
You're showing you've rating Speedway tracks by how easy it is to see the fights in the pits. I've never heard that one before.
It's a bloody good rating system, though, is it not, Mike?
So you won't have seen Aaron Summers and Michael Makovsky fighting in the Armadale pits then?
Nope, never got to see that.
None of the
Heard about it.
staff said they saw it either, even though they were right beside it.
Greg, can I ask you, as a rider, obviously on the forums, a lot of people are saying Newcastle found it hard because they're a Sunday track. What do you think of, obviously, getting riders? Do you think that's been any part of the problem?
No, I don't. I wouldn't agree with that because your Sunday's just as easy as the Saturday. I always found for myself that it was like Fridays are difficult. Basically, well, in any sense, try to get time off work, and I don't think that Sunday would have much to do with it because it was mostly Sunday afternoons, wasn't it? The meetings would start at what, 4:00? Or
when George was in charge, it was 6:30.
6:30, yeah.
Before now.
So I don't really see how that would have been too much of a problem. But I guess you can't take everything you see on the forums as bulletproof because it's a lot of Chinese whispers on there. Are you allowed to say Chinese whispers nowadays?
I'm sure
you just said it.
You've just said it, huh?
But I wouldn't be able to get riders that ride in Poland for a Sunday team, so that does cut out a fair number.
Yeah, that is.
It's got to ride for Newcastle is the thing, isn't it? Or Polish-based rider, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, they've also lost that Danish connection that they had for several years, and George English seemed to have that. There was always a Dane in the team for many a season, but that slowly slipped away. And there was a lot of Danes that got brought over that ended up doing pretty damn well. Nicky Pedersen, one fine example.
Even looking as recently as 2019, though, we obviously beat them in the Knockout Cup final. It was 94-86 over 2 legs. And you looked at their team, it was Stevie Worrell at 1. I think Ulrich Ostergaard was at 5. You had Clegg at reserve, I think. And it was a good, solid team. And we won it in the last 2 heats. And the decline since then is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's kind of like going into a poor person's house and stealing their TV when you go there against Newcastle to take as many points off them. You almost do. You would feel bad. I can't comment on the track because I've not ridden it since 2010.
Well, obviously not from a riding perspective, but when we went there the second time, it was a lot better. And when I spoke to Eric Riss and a few of the riders, they were quite complimentary about how it improved. Jason Edwards was very complimentary about how it improved. But they spent all that money on the track, I assume, because the SCB told them. And then a few weeks later, it's kaput.
Do you believe, Mike, I'll put this one to you, do you believe that Glasgow, spitting the dummy, had maybe brought the season to an end for them early? Because they would have spent a lot of money on that track. And it did look like Newcastle were going to be beating Glasgow. What do you feel about that?
I don't think it was a factor in Newcastle finishing, not really. Obviously, had Newcastle gone on to win that match, that would have been a big boost for them, but I'm not sure that was really going to happen. I don't see it. I did see somebody saying that, but I don't see it as a major factor. It's difficult for Newcastle fans to support the team they've got. They're all decent enough riders, but they're all second strings and reserves, as I think you said earlier. So that's really the problem. There's just, if you're going to go along and see your home team beaten 28-62, well, it's not very encouraging to go, is it? If you've got something else to do, you'll probably do it.
No, I know you see defeats at any home club. If you get a bad one, even at Berwick, and you do get fans that are, I'm not coming back to see this again.
Yeah.
And they'll disappear, and then they'll miss a meeting, and then Berwick will win that meeting, and they'll be like, "Oh, Berwick are winning again. I'll come back." So you do get these knobheads that don't support you through thick and thin. It's just a fact of the matter, which is quite annoying.
If the club's only just breaking even, if you lose 20 fans, then that's quite a lot of money.
Yep. Yeah. No. Exactly. But it's same in everything, isn't it?
I mean, Greg and Sarah, can you remember? It was live on Sky when Peterborough came to Sheffield, and we got absolutely hammered.
Hammered.
And I'd come there with my flags and everything, and I was I wasn't on camera or anything, so don't bother trying to look for me. But it was I went away and I thought, well, okay, so we've got hammered. It happens.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be back the next time because I just love going and watching the Speedway. But for me, what strikes me about Newcastle is this whole idea that we're Newcastle, we're this big club, we're this wonderful club that's had Ivan Major ride for us, and as you say that the all the Great Danes, and it's almost like we're bigger than this. And I do think that the fans are. Ryan, what was the term I used earlier today to describe it? And I mentioned about the attendances at St James's Park, didn't I?
Yeah, I can't remember the term you used though. It was pretty good. You said that Newcastle had 10,000 there against Oxford. Fickle. Yes, you did. Yes.
Fickle. Yeah, they're fickle. They're only wanting to support a team that's doing well. And when Newcastle United, when they're not doing well, they went from a packed house to 10,000 against Oxford. A drop of that magnitude? I think that kind of sums up where the problem is, isn't it? Because as you said, if you lose 20 fans.
I'm actually a Newcastle United season ticket holder, believe it or not. So,
wow.
I know about them, although I don't go very often. But they were getting 52,000 in the championship, so that wouldn't suggest that they're fickle now.
But it's what it is. It's when they're winning, you want to go and support them. But this whole idea that you go and enjoy the sport for what it is. You enjoy whether your team win or lose. I would suggest that here in Galashiels, in Jedburgh, in Berwick, there's a different perception of what the Speedway means to us.
I don't believe there's any set of fans that would happily go along having beaten 228-62 successive defeats.
Yeah.
That would have a huge effect on any club.
But in what Paul's saying, football, unfortunately, I love football myself, but football's the national sport. A lot of people Speedway and getting, not us, but you can take it or leave it. And when you're getting beat, as Mike said, 28-62, a lot of people are just going to think, I'm going to leave it. I don't want to go and watch this lot get battered again.
Yeah, as I say, for me, it's the whole experience of going to Berwick. It's a beautiful place. It's a great drive there. I just love it. So moving on to the next question. I suppose, and this is the crux of the matter, and we kind of got an answer, didn't we? Yeah, last night, Greg. Should Newcastle, having closed and then reopened, should they have started off at championship level?
National.
But isn't the rent too? I watched a bit of what you did last night, and I agree with Lee.
Last night, the rent that you're still paying out is just not going to balance it now. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I think because Newcastle have been such a big club, I don't think a lot of them would support National League.
Well, I remember, Sarah, when they had the Gems at the start of last season, it was whatever price it was. Let's just, for example, say 20 quid to get into both meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They'd paid it. And I remember reading on the updates vividly, although the fans have paid the money, the stadium's almost deserted for the Gems meeting.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous because I've seen National League Speedway. I've ridden in National League Speedway races that are far better than Grand Prix races.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen one like, for example, one race at Berwick in the National League. One race can be better than a whole Grand Prix.
Yeah,
and that's the fact of it. The same at Armadale in the National League. There, you get some brilliant riding in it. I think it's a bit more of the unpredictability of what the hell's going to happen next, because that's what it's all about. It's a bit of sometimes it can be a destruction derby, but you do see some new talent coming through. You see some wild overtaking, some crazy ass bloody crashes, and it's just it's got the entertainment factor, and that's what Speedway should be about. So I don't know why people have this, as James puts it quite a lot, this snobbery towards the National League.
I think it would be fair to say the average standard of entertainment in the Armadale Devils matches this year is probably slightly higher than the Monarchs matches. And that's not saying the Monarchs matches are bad, but the Devils matches have been better. And the Devils don't have a very good team this year, to be perfectly honest. But with Lee Complin coming in, that's going to make all the difference, I think.
Well, Mike,
so I would agree with you completely. People should go and watch National League racing, but they don't.
Mike, when Lee Complin makes his debut, I've already had assurances from Greg, James, and Marty and Graham that we're all going to come up and support Lee Complin.
Yeah, good.
Because I you know, as I said to you, Ryan, you know, I don't normally watch individual meetings, but seeing Charles Wright as a 16-year-old winning Stars of Tomorrow, Sarah, you can remember that surely. Charles Wright, Stars of Tomorrow. It was a Peter Wright promotion.
I can't remember the last one I remember was when Liam Carr won it. That's the one I remember.
Right, okay. But Charles Wright ran it when he was 16. I mean, what age is his name, Ryan?
32, 33, one of the two.
So 16 years ago, yeah. And I remember thinking at the time, Peter, well, I didn't know Peter then. I'd never spoken to him. And I'm thinking, I hope the management are watching this and they're going to sign Charles Wright, because that is something else. That as a 16-year-old, you know, going around and winning that Stars of Tomorrow.
Well, with Charles Wright, I remember I was watching our second leg of the playoff quarterfinals against Edinburgh, Mike, and when the riders came on for parade, you said we should never let Charles Wright leave.
Well, that was one of our worst ever changes. We got Charles Wright and brought in Marcel Helfer. But to be fair, what was going on then was Charles didn't have a lot of confidence at that time. And after that, he went to Buxton. He wasn't riding in our league at all. And he got so many big scores for Buxton that really built his confidence up. And when that
was the first time he rode for Redcar, actually.
Yeah. It was very good when he returned. But I would rate it our worst ever team change, yes. Nobody gets them all right, and that was a disaster, that one.
I don't know if anyone wants to know the scores from the other two matches.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Oxford have just took a 5-1 in Heat 15 to beat Glasgow 46-44.
Wow.
And rather remarkably, Plymouth, with 5 riders after Tofty withdrew, a 42-all going to Heat 15 with Poole.
My goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were ahead, Plymouth.
Yeah, Poole have just got a 5-1 in Heat 14, so they'll go into 15, but let's have a look. You'd probably say, actually, Carl Howarth's on a paid max at the moment, so they could get a draw out of that.
Can you give me the scores? What the individual scores? What's Aaron Summers' score tonight?
Aaron was on 6 from 6 last time I looked, which is remarkable. Aaron Summers 3-3-3-3-0, so he was on 12 going into Heat 15. Oh, sorry, no, he wasn't in Heat 15. He got a last in Heat 14.
So coming
all right
for the chop again, really, from the fans.
Well, that's unbelievable. I thought he would. I don't know if anyone's seen the race from Glasgow. I thought he won that first race.
Yeah, I think everybody thinks that.
I saw that at Rough Park, didn't we, Sarah? With last heat with Bomber. Bomber easily run the last race, didn't he? And
they gave it to Paul.
It didn't make it. It doesn't make any difference. Berwick still lost, and we got a point. But yeah, it's. Can I just ask you a little bit about I tried to get into pool, obviously, early this season. It was rained off at midday or whatever, because it was going to be rained off at 8 o'clock. And sure enough, at 8 o'clock, the heavens opened. So I never got to see pool. And for me, pool have always been one of the big teams. They are, for want of a better word, one of Dick Barry's terms, the winningest teams in Speedway. They don't tend to put out teams that don't do well, do they? You know, Poole are definitely up there for whatever reason, but also Glasgow. You know, I was amazed at the transformation of the stadium there, having been there in the era of the three checks. I went there last season, and that stadium has had like, is it multi-million-pounds spent on it to upgrade it and everything? And I thought, wow, this is how you promote Speedway, and the number of fans in there and everything. It was just phenomenal. It just blew me away. I have to say, and I know Dick Barry has got he's not really much of a Glasgow fan there, I say, but I was very impressed with Glasgow. If you're gonna do if you're gonna reopen Diamonds, try and set it on that model of what Glasgow have done.
You can't do that unless you've got hundreds of thousands of pounds to spend.
Well, I think
So
millions,
it's
wasn't
not
it?
really
Millions.
something anybody can learn from unless
Yeah.
they're extremely wealthy.
But
The only thing is the race suits are horrendous. Can I just put that out there?
Father
The race
Christmas last
suits-
year.
The race suits are, I don't know who came up with that design, but they need to have some. I'll have a word with them because that's just shocking.
Which one do you prefer, last year's or this year's?
I can't remember what last year's looked like, but
They were the Father Christmas ones last year.
I just don't know why they've changed from the red and white stripes. Sorry. Like, keep it simple. Like, everybody knows that's what it is. There's no need to go too fancy with it. It just, maybe I'm just too old fashioned.
Maybe it's got some-
I am old fashioned in the sense that I don't like disagree with it, but I don't like wearing like a team race suit. I like the individuality of the rider, so you can pick them out pretty easy. Like I wear my tartan colours, and I just like that because I'm easy to pick out, and it's like a personal thing. But I don't know. Good question for everybody else. What do you think?
I don't like race suits either. I think they do take away the individuality. Yeah.
Well, I know for a fact that's why we don't have race suits at Redcar, because Jamie, especially, and Jade don't want it. They want the individual. Charles in his green, Jordan Jenkins in his orange.
Yeah.
So I will say though, the best. I know the Monarchs have team suits this year. They didn't have last year. I really liked the Monarchs bib last year. I thought it was very simplistic but very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for it to be a simple thing like that, just bang, there you go. Aye, that's. I wonder if that'll come round again, where like it'll just be, they went for a phase where there was a lot of fancy stuff going on it, but then you look back to like years before, and it was just like says Berwick Bandits, for instance, it's just Berwick Bandits and the bandit in the middle, perfect.
it's retro.
Yeah, I like the retro look.
Yeah. Can I just ask everybody here their thoughts on Mildenhall, because I seem to remember Mildenhall were regularly yo-yoing between the the junior league, if you like, the NDL, and the championship, and they seem to be one of these yo-yo teams. I remember seeing videos of various Berwick Mildenhall matches, which were excellent in the Berrington Lough areas. But I would have to say that in the same way that I admire what Glasgow have done in their place, albeit with millions. What about Mildenhall? What they've done down there? Would that be a good blueprint for clubs to follow? They've got a huge fan
What
base.
they have done. Do we really know what they've done? They don't have very many meetings. That's the problem with the National League this year. They have to put on a few extra meetings to get any kind of season. It's very hard being in the National League.
Yeah, I don't know how they can how clubs are actually surviving with just running National League. It would be I think Mildenhall, what they're doing is good, but do you almost think could they do 2 leagues or could they step up to the Championship? It'd be a shame you lose them for the National League, but what's to say? I've already asked this question and I got a reply with a cheesy grin from Jamie Swales last year saying, "Why don't Redcar go back into the National again?" But clubs like that.
The thing I'd say about that, Greg, is we ran. It was either the under-19 or the under-21 semi-final. I think it was the under-21. Dan Gilks won it, and I wasn't there. I couldn't make it, but apparently the place was deserted. There was like 200 people there for a National League standard meeting, and I just think, unfortunately, what we were going back to before. The appetite isn't there for it at Redcar, unfortunately. And my dad's a season ticket holder, and he said he wouldn't go if it was National League racing.
I think it's the same everywhere. We couldn't pay the rent at Armadale just running National League racing, even if it was every week. The crowds just wouldn't support it. And the Armadale Stadium owners wouldn't drop the rent.
Yeah, sure.
They still want the money they get now.
But then when I went to Mildenhall last year, at the end of last year, it was Greg. It was the day before you went to Kent, and I wasn't able to stay to the end, and I remember there was a horrendous delay, but I was genuinely impressed by the amount of support that Mildenhall get.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely solid. They've got everything going on there. I don't know who owns the stadium, but again, when it comes to this stadium business, you know. At every stadium, you have people that organise a bar. Now, I don't know if the club organise the bar at some stadiums, or whether it's it's outside, or whether when it comes to the fast food or outside. But I mean, there has to be, if the clubs are feeling the pinch from the landlords, do you not pass it on then to the people that are making money off the fast foods and the bars? I don't know how it works in every club.
Well, at Edinburgh, we get nothing out the bars or fast food, or we do have a tea bar that we get money from.
I mean that for me, Mike, is a no-no. You don't organise to go somewhere and you're bringing hundreds, maybe thousands of people through the turnstile, and you're getting nothing for that.
I'm afraid that's true, but that's because they hold the upper hand, don't they? They can.
Yes, but it's, I can't help thinking that there's more to this. I got a message from Peter, as I refer to him, the gaffer, Peter Waite, and I never got a chance to read it last night. And if you excuse me, I'll just, Greg, I'll let you carry on and do your hosting, and I'll just cut this message from.
Well, the one thing I would like to stick into this is, and it's an idea that's probably been trialed. I don't know anything about it, Mike. You'll know. What would be? Why not have it where you could have like a bit of a bookies there? You know what I mean? Like say £20 per bet. Nothing crazy, so you couldn't go in and absolutely turn the place upside down. Would a gambling, like say a night out with the dog racing, nobody goes really to watch the dogs, but people would maybe come to watch the actual Speedway. Just if it's got
there's scope for betting on Speedway, definitely. Yeah.
I think it's banned.
Finding something that couldn't be fiddled, that's the thing.
I think it's banned. You can't bet on motorsport at the track because it's because of the danger.
A change of rules, but I do believe there is scope for making money on betting in Speedway. I've always thought that.
Well, in terms of us at Redcar, going back to what Mike and Paul were saying, I've been watching Speedway since 2012. From 2012 to 2018 or 19, we had a van in, chips and things, and they did our catering, and an ice cream van would turn up every so often. But I think at the end of 2019, Ben Duffield brought it all in-house. So our bar is in-house and our catering's also now in-house. And the queues at our they'll kill me, but I can't remember the name of it. The queues there are fabulous, and the food's really good. And Ben Duffield's mum runs it, and I know that helps out massively now, because even on our amateur days, they're there selling food.
Yeah. That's obviously ideal, isn't it?
Mm.
Here we go. Here's a message from Peter Waite. I actually messaged him last night. I never got a chance to convey this. Yeah, Speedway, big problem. Lot of tracks lose big money. I would say Newcastle, 10,000 per meeting, plus the bond now at 50,000. Lose. That's not good. That's why all are limited companies. Sad. Being there, have fun, Peter.
I can't believe they're losing as much as that.
I can't either.
Peter did say to me that he lost back in the noughties 70,000 a year.
But if you're only paying out 28 points over the last 2 meetings, and one of them meetings is a local derby where there was a good crowd, I don't see how that's possible. And
No.
his burger van would make good money as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Mind you, it wouldn't if there wasn't any fans.
Yeah,
Doesn't help.
And I mean, if finally, another question would be this: that we debated, didn't we, Greg, Marty, and James, about should Newcastle have started off this season at National Development League level, and James said quite rightly, well, would Lee Complin have come back and ridden at that level, and said, I don't know if he would even be allowed to. Well, the answer is he's allowed to, and he would have been willing to. Given the fact that there are despite what Newcastle said about there's a lack of riders out there, the team that they put together, had it gone National Development League, would it have been successful? It would have only taken a few meetings of doing well, and Newcastle love a team that's doing well.
But again, the rent's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still going to be the issue. The rent of the place is still going to be the issue. I think that's where if the rent wasn't as steep as what it was, then maybe there'd be room for it. But I just can't see it.
Got 8 clubs in the league as well, so they'd only have 7 home matches.
Yeah, but a few challenges, say, against the Bullets, and against the Red Car Bears, and just sort of have a kind of Northern League.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd have to.
Go on, it's your turn, Greg.
The landlords, you'd have to be paying something per meeting rather than a total amount for the season. You'd never make it up if it was a total amount.
No, I know what
I don't think there is an answer, to be honest. You might be looking for the answer, but I don't think there is one.
No, you're right there. I think it's one of them things. It's just a case of the same as what happened at Coventry, isn't it? As well, it's just going to be I think it's just going to be another track that I can't see it coming back. I really can't. It's sad to say, but I think that's possibly it for Newcastle. Unless somebody comes in with a load of money.
That's the thing.
I'd only want to take 1% of the money from Saudi, wouldn't it? And it'd be sorted forever.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it won't happen, will it?
No. Yeah. Well, I was told, I'm obviously not going to say the rider, but I was told by a rider that when Rob Grant had problems last season, a rider from outside Newcastle had organised through Goodwill. He'd got 14 of the 16 riders to do an individual meeting, and they weren't going to be paid, and they were going to do the meeting to help the club. So basically, he said to the owner, "I've got 14. You need to find 2 more, and you'll have an open meeting. No one's going to be paid anything. They're all going to come and do it. Maybe their expenses. Get a crowd in. It'll help you massively." And apparently, he was told, "Nah, not interested. Sorry."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I remember. I'm sure it was Glasgow versus Middlesbrough, and they actually had it at the old Shorefield Stadium at the start of the season, and it was free for everybody to come in.
Very good.
We had a free meeting at Power Hall in 1988.
Yeah. It's. I mean, the thing is that I mean, I. I hate to say this, but for me, I'm really glad that Birmingham have done well, because for me, that the other team that seemed to be down there with Newcastle, and you're thinking, are they going to keep going? Are Birmingham? You know,
I
don't know
don't
about
see
the rest.
Birmingham running next season personally.
Yeah, and therefore, you know, what they were doing was going out. The weekend before I went there for the meeting that lasted 2 races. Apparently, they'd been out, and the local retail park doing a whole load of advertising of the Speedway, and lo and behold, they'd got a whole load of new people coming in to see it. And it lasted 2 heats, and then you're told, well, no, the meeting's abandoned. And what you're going to get, what you're going to get is £2 off the admission to your next meeting.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think the Birmingham promotion are doing a lot of good things.
Yeah,
but I don't know what other people think, that there is the passion for Speedway in Birmingham. I really don't, because they're doing a lot of good things at the moment, and I just don't think there's the passion for it, unfortunately.
I think they've got the football clubs there, though, haven't they? They've got Aston Villa down there,
West Brom, Birmingham.
Yeah.
Well, you've got their rent. Apparently, they've got to pay rent to 20 meetings, and even if they don't do the 20 meetings, that's their rent. They've got to pay it. And I mean, they've beat us tonight, but it's 50-50 when they make the playoffs, so they're not probably going to do 20 meetings.
No.
It's a bit of a bugger, that. It's a who would take a bloody Speedway club on the now, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
I would take Berwick on any minute. I would, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would definitely. And I would probably buy Newcastle as well, because
there's a lot of run on Thursdays.
Yeah, there's a fan base there. And it was funny you mentioned about the George English era. Was there not an era whereby the Berwick management were actually praising Newcastle for the fact that they were working so well together? I have a funny feeling that was during John Anderson's era, that he was saying how well Newcastle were. You know, that Berwick and Newcastle were working together. Have I got that wrong, Sarah?
Doesn't ring a bell, though.
Sorry?
It does not ring a bell.
So I'm trying to think who was saying that, because I remember I distinctly remember when Berwick and Newcastle were always at loggerheads over everything. Darrell Illingworth and his ilk, but I distinctly remember it being mentioned that it was nice to have this sort of harmony between the two clubs.
That was maybe 1 week.
You're probably right there, Mike. You're definitely right there. Has there ever been any harmony between Glasgow and Edinburgh?
Behind the scenes, there's a lot of harmony, yes. There's a lot of arguing on the forums and all that sort of thing.
But it's good, though, because that's probably why that is so popular up there. But Armadale, that's probably why Armadale and Glasgow have got such a good fan base. It's probably because they've got a club just along the road that they all hate. You know, they hate each other.
There's a lot in that. In 1996, we raced at Glasgow, and Glasgow didn't exist. And I felt it myself. There was a lack of edge to things. Nowadays, if you lose at home, you worry about Glasgow fans laughing at you. And similarly, it'll be the same the other way around. But when the other team isn't there, there's nothing to put an edge on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like look at Scottish football. Imagine if Celtic or Rangers disappeared.
Yeah.
It would
Well,
take
that did
that.
happen for a while, didn't it? And it took the edge off things. Celtic were winning too easily.
Yep, exactly. So no, I think if that's the good thing. You need a bit of rivalry like that, and I think when Newcastle coming away, that's probably lost it for Berwick and a little bit massively for Redcar, because that was their thing, wasn't it? The rivalry there, but yeah, we'll just have to. Berwick's just going to have to dislike Redcar from now on.
Well, our biggest gate of the season is Newcastle, and I think we're going to have a big crowd on Friday. But 3 times a season we usually face Newcastle: Challenge, League Cup, or whatever it is, and League, and that's 3 meetings down the pan now, where it just doesn't help anybody at all.
No,
not at all. Lawrence Heppel's come on.
I'm sure I'm not imagining it.
You're maybe imagining that there, Mike. So going forward, because I'm gonna have to go and get showered.
Yes.
For our next chat, when will we be on then? As Mike takes a bit.
Well, hopefully, yourself.
Yes,
Greg?
indeed. Something a little bit different that I don't know if it's been done before, but we'll do it for a laugh anyway. So I'm going to be riding at the National Speedway Stadium on Friday night with the Bullets going down there. We're hoping to go out there and do a win. I've had Kevin Little working really hard this week getting my bike prepped for that. Everything is going to be bang on. So if I don't do well, it's my own fault. But after the meeting, I'm going to be going round for a bit, wander about the pits, have a bit look at the track live on here, still with a full race suit on, and if I can grab somebody to chat with us, then we'll do that regardless of the result. And if I have spat the dummy, I will try and get it back in and do a broadcast.
I'm sure you will be hugely entertaining around the National Speedway Stadium.
Yes,
Not
definitely.
for you, I think.
I do. I've been there once, and I have to say, I got the fright of my life going into the third bend because I came into the corner and I had my foot on the footrest. I was chasing after Benji Compton. I had my foot on the footrest, and I thought, I don't even have to take my foot off here to put it down. And I ended up just riding like a couple of laps with my foot on the footrest, sitting back, like felt like I was on a bloody like a Polish rider doing that. It's mind blowing how fast that place is.
Yeah.
FAF engines.
Yes, FAF engine. That's what we need. So I'm going to jump off now, and I hope everyone has a good weekend and looks forward. Hopefully the rain stays away for whatever Speedway meetings that's going to be this weekend. Mike, who have you got at Armadale this weekend?
We've got Oxford and we've got Lee Complin guesting for us, so that should be fun.
Wow.
It's going to be quite exciting. And obviously, Ryan, you've got the Newcastle Select team.
Oh, we can't call them Newcastle. It has to be Diamonds.
Oh, yes.
Sorry. So
Has
the
to be
Diamonds.
Yeah.
Diamonds. You got the Diamond Select. And Sarah, no doubt you'll be in the. I will be. And Sarah, no doubt you'll be in the crowd this weekend for Berwick Scunthorpe.
Absolutely, yeah. Third bend.
Third bend. It's where it all happens. I'll probably see you there because I'm taking the kids, and the kids do like standing up there. So I'll no doubt see you up there.
Greg, how's Ollie?
He was
Good
fun.
luck, Friday.
There he is. Oh, there he is.
He's never far from.
Hold on. Let me. Have you got a light there, Greg?
There we go. That's cost of living.
Alexa, turn the light to 100%. Oh, she's turned the wrong one on. She's turned the bedroom light on.
Oh, there we go.
Here he is. Here's my boy.
There he is, made man.
Ah.
Camera shy.
Oh.
He's like, camera shy.
Oh.
Come for a walk. Come on.
Oh.
That's him ready now. So yeah, that's us all good to go. So I'm going to have to take him out for a walk now. My shower is cancelled.
Night, Greg.
Good night. See you later.
See you, Greg.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Before I head off, Paul, Mike, Sarah, because I have to type up this match report for a match night.